People around the WNBA are getting worried, and it's not about on-court performance. Some experts now believe 2026 could be Caitlin Clark's last year in the league. Yes, really, she might leave earlier than anyone thought, and it's not the players sounding the alarm, it's the league itself. What do you think? Can the WNBA stay strong without its biggest star? Let us know in the comments.
I feel like we're quickly headed towards a scenario where there's going to be a lockout in the WNBA. This is something I've talked about a few times because I think the players, they just have a much higher perception around their dollar value worth than the league is actually worth. And some of this stuff will work itself out, right? Like if you look at the WNBA, attendance, viewership, like merchandise sales, everything's up and to the right. Sponsorships, they're making a lot more money, TV rights, everything. But most people don't understand the dynamic between the NBA owning a large chunk of the business, the owners owning a large chunk of the revenue stream, and the players are out there every day. I mean, you just look at what was happening in that 60 Minutes interview. Aaliyah Boston said that she wants commas in her paycheck, $1 million+ essentially, right? And that's not happening anytime soon in the WNBA. Like, it's just not going to happen. A'ja Wilson makes $200,000 a year. And we're going to get to a point where that's going to set in as reality. And I think the players are going to have a really hard time dealing with that because they're going on the road and they're seeing these sold out arenas. But the economics of the league just don't give that opportunity.
Let's get straight to it. The WNBA is taking its time with the next CBA. But experts in the sports business say time is running out. There's a real possibility Caitlin Clark could leave the league after 2026, and this isn't just online speculation. It's coming from people who understand the money, contracts, and media deals. Their warning is clear: if the league doesn't act wisely, Clark could move on, not because she's done, but because better opportunities are waiting elsewhere.
As you guys know, negotiations have essentially stalled for a new collective bargaining agreement in the WNBA. For the first time ever, WNBA players think they have leverage. Key word, think. Now, in their defense, they do have leverage in the short term. The problem is, if this short-term leverage is used and the 2026 WNBA season is canceled, it could have devastating long-term impacts on pretend basketball.
Why is 2026 such a big deal? Because that's when the current WNBA collective bargaining agreement expires, and right now, it looks like the league and the players are on a collision course. Normally, this would just be behind-the-scenes business. But with Caitlin Clark in the picture, it's different. She's not just another player, she's the player. The league's boost in ratings, ticket sales, and merchandise is largely tied to her. Instead of building on that momentum, the WNBA is under pressure from both sides. Players want higher pay, and outside leagues like Unrivaled are offering big money to the same stars the WNBA needs to keep its growth going. It all comes down to this: players see the sold-out games, the media coverage, and Clark's impact. They know she changed the game, and now they're demanding real money, aiming to raise top salaries from $150,000 to $1 million.
WNBA players right now, they are looking at details like ratings, attendance, social media impressions, increased mainstream interest. They are using that as leverage in an attempt to justify a massive increase in their minimum wage salaries. Most people get a raise, they're asking for 10%, maybe 20%. WNBA players, they are demanding to go from $150,000 a year.
At first glance, it sounds easy. Just pay the players more, they deserve it. But when you look closer, it's more complicated than that. Right now, the WNBA simply doesn't have the money to hand out million-dollar contracts across the board. You can't hand out luxury pay when the business still isn't fully built. Look at the NHL. It's been around for decades, had big TV deals, and a huge fan base. But when it lost the entire 2004-05 season to a labor dispute, the damage was real. Viewership dropped, sponsors pulled out, and it never fully bounced back. And that was a well-established league. Now imagine the WNBA losing a full season in 2026. Without the same financial cushion, it wouldn't be a setback, it'd be a serious hit. That's where Unrivaled comes in. On paper, it's just a new women's league started by top players, but in reality, it's also a powerful bargaining tool. Some stars already make more there into months than they do in a full WNBA season. Last year, Unrivaled even offered Caitlin Clark over $1 million to join. And offers like that aren't going away. By 2026, if the WNBA and players can't agree on a new deal and the season gets canceled, don't be surprised if Clark walks. She has real choices. The WNBA doesn't. If she leaves, so does the momentum TV ratings, merchandise sales, and new fans. The problem is, the WNBA seems to think it has the same leverage as the NBA or NFL. But those leagues have generations of stars and a global following. The WNBA has Caitlin Clark and a few others who shine every 4 years during the Olympics. That's not enough to play hardball.
According to players in the WNBA, we are owed this money. Pay us what we're owed. Pay us what we're owed. Yippee! The only thing WNBA players are thinking about is getting paid now. They're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about the long-term viability of the league. They're not thinking about what happens if this sudden increase in growth is not sustained.
Players see Unrivaled's early success as a sign of long-term power. But let's keep it real, success depends on how you measure it. Yes, the new league made $27 million in its first year, but it didn't turn a profit. It's still leaning heavily on media partners like TNT to keep the momentum going. If viewership drops or funding slows, that safety net could disappear fast, and so does the backup plan many players are counting on. Which brings us back to Caitlin Clark and why she's such a big deal and a big risk for the WNBA. She's not just the league's top star. For many casual fans, she's the only reason they're watching. Her rookie year hype didn't fade, it exploded even more in year 2. She's proven she can lead a team, and more than that, carry the spotlight for the entire league. If she leaves, there's no clear replacement. The numbers tell the story. Attendance drops when she's not playing. TV ratings dip when her team, the Indiana Fever, isn't on the screen. That doesn't look like a healthy league. It looks like one superstar holding up the whole show.
Brought this up, so I'm just gonna double down on it. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is gonna sign more than 1 year. Any free agent this year will not sign more than 1 year because of the CBA.
Yeah.
When 2026 comes around, the entire league will be free agents except for people on their rookie deals. I don't even know, like, how does that even work? I don't, to the GMs, like,
GMs, assemble.
good luck.
Yeah.
When insiders warn that 2026 could be Caitlin Clark's last year in the WNBA, they're not predicting her retirement at 24. They're saying that poor business moves could push her to leave. For more money, less stress, and a simpler schedule. Here's what's making people inside the league nervous. Yes, the WNBA is growing, but that growth hinges on one star, Clark. Sponsors are investing because of her. TV networks are paying more because her games pull big audiences. Merchandise, it's her jersey driving the surge. Without her, all that momentum could vanish. Smart move. Secure Clark long-term with a deal that shows she's valued without bankrupting the league. But so far, the WNBA seems focused more on principle than pragmatism. It doesn't want to set a precedent of paying one player far more than the rest, even though she's the one creating the growth. If that doesn't change, 2026 won't just mark the end of a contract, it might mark the end of an era. Players see Unrivaled not as a threat, but as proof that they can earn real money outside the WNBA. And that's a powerful bargaining chip. But here's the flip side. Unrivaled's success depends on funding. And viewers too. It brought in over $27 million in revenue during its first year, nearly breaking even, but relied on media partners like TNT to do so for stock sport. If interest or funding slips, that safety net could disappear, and so does the fallback plan many players are counting on. When insiders say 2026 might be Caitlin Clark's last year in the WNBA, they're not talking about her retiring at 24. They're warning that the league's business decisions could push her to leave for better pay, a lighter schedule, and fewer off-court headaches. And here's why that possibility has people inside the league quietly worried. The WNBA's recent growth is real, but it's also fragile. Sponsors are showing up because Clark's involved. TV networks are paying more because her games draw bigger audiences. Merchandise sales, most of that spike comes from her jersey. Take Clark out of the picture, and this growth doesn't just slow down, it could fall apart. The smart move would be to find a way to keep her in the league long-term, ideally with a deal that makes her feel valued without breaking the league's budget. But that's not what's happening. Instead, the league seems to be stuck on principle. It doesn't want to open the door for one player to earn much more than everyone else, even though that one player is the main reason the league is finally seeing a financial bump. It's a risky stance, and if it doesn't change soon, 2026 might mark more than the end of a contract. It could be the end of an era. To the players, Unrivaled isn't just a risky side project, it's proof that they can earn big money outside the WNBA, and maybe they can, at least for a few years. But here's the risk: if Unrivaled folds and the WNBA's brand takes a hit from a canceled season, both options vanish. Time is running out. If Caitlin Clark isn't wearing a WNBA jersey after 2026, the league might not look anything like it does today or even be around at all. Let's take a closer look at Caitlin Clark's second year, because this is where the WNBA's vulnerability really stands out. She's not a rookie anymore. In just under 2 seasons, she's turned a struggling Indiana Fever team into a must-watch. She's handled non-stop defensive pressure, built a media following bigger than the league's own, and done it all while barely getting a break. Her stats are impressive, but her impact goes way beyond the numbers, even when she's not scoring big. She changes the game, defenses adjust, TV schedules shift, and ticket prices jump. When she's playing, the WNBA feels like a major league. When she's not, it too often feels like a league still trying to get noticed. That's not a shot at the other players, it's just the reality of star-driven sports. The NBA figured this out with Magic, Bird, and Jordan. The NFL did the same with quarterbacks. But those leagues built systems that stayed strong. Even when their top stars weren't on the court or field, the WNBA hasn't reached that point yet. And that's why 2026 is such a critical year. If labor talks break down and the season is canceled, Clark doesn't need to sit around and wait. She has options, better paying ones. She could join Unrivaled and make serious money. She could play overseas, where salaries are often higher and the travel is easier. Or she could take a year off, rest up, and earn more through endorsements than she does from her WNBA contract. In 2025, Unrivaled offered Clark a deal reportedly worth over $1 million, a significant increase from the WNBA's average salary of $150,000. With Unrivaled's expansion and competitive salaries, Clark has viable alternatives that the WNBA must consider. The WNBA's reliance on Clark's star power has led to a fragile foundation. When she was sidelined due to injury, national TV viewership for her games dropped by approximately 55%, highlighting the league's vulnerability. If the league doesn't act swiftly to secure Clark's future, it risks losing not just a player, but the very momentum that has brought it to the forefront of women's sports.